Oh boy. I think we're in trouble here, folks. Jim Cramer has dedicated an entire segment to espousing his bullish thoughts on Tesla on his show on CNBS. Uh-oh.
Last night, I was reading through this Tesla conference call for a second time because it was so meaty, and my wife called. She said I sounded down, and I admit I was really bummed. I told her that the source of my chagrin was none other than Elon Musk. What did he do this time, she said. She thought it was something political. I said, he didn't do anything. I just knew that no matter how hard I worked, no matter how hard I studied, I could never be as smart as this guy.
Well, I mean, it's true. And as much as I like to roast Jim Cramer, he'd do pretty well on an IQ test, but there aren't many people on the planet in terms of sheer intelligence that are on par with Elon Musk. But you know what? Academic intelligence, book smarts, IQ, I don't really think that is the most fundamental form of intelligence. It's an important ingredient, no doubt, but it's not the entire recipe. I'm sure many people can imagine, they might know a few folks who have a big brain, IQ 145, still living at home at age 39, never even touched a tit in their life, depressed, sad, unemployed, and spending their entire day posting on Reddit. Being smart counts. Being willing to work hard also counts. But what really matters is one's ability to execute, to set goals, and to take actions that ultimately lead to those goals being achieved. The real true test of intelligence is how closely does the results one produces align with the goals they have set. In other words, are you producing the results in your life that you want in terms of your priorities and goals? And I'm not just talking about business. If your number one goal in life is to have a wonderful wife, kids, family, no stress, and you achieve that, you're one of the smartest fucks on earth. Doesn't matter how well you do it on an intelligence test. And based on Musk's results in business, given the goals he's laid out historically, I mean, hello, Tesla's secret master plan, it's pretty evident that yes, Musk is super smart, but his real strength is his ability to actually achieve goals he sets out, his ability to execute. That's what separates Musk from most others. A big brain is only 1% of the battle. And funnily enough, I didn't realize I was just ranting, but I just read on screen. How do you solve a problem like Elon? This is actually a great question. This is exactly the essence of my point. Musk's ability to identify and solve problems is unmatched. And the guy doesn't do it single-handedly. It's the exact opposite. Another of the essential ingredients, at least solving big problems, e.g. reusable rockets, building successful companies, is to recruit, inspire, engage, and drive incredible talent. Look, Jim Cramer's done well. He's made a bit of money, somehow managed to maintain a pretty stable career despite mountains and mountains and mountains of powder. Skiing, of course. I mean, he skis a lot recreationally, allegedly. And he entertains a lot of people playing the jester in the finance media. But it's nice to hear some humility here when he recognizes he can't hold a candle to Musk.
Even watching Tesla fall 12% today, it's impossible for me to appreciate the Schadenfreude. Why? Okay, allow me to unburden myself to you because it's the only way to understand what Musk has got going for him. First, understand that last night's conference call was like nothing I've ever heard, even from Tesla. The auto business, the plain old Tesla, disappointed people. They aren't selling as many cars as we thought. They aren't doing anything overtly revolutionary. No 2-minute battery charge the time it would take to fill an SUV. No engine that can give you 600 mile per charge. But it wouldn't surprise me if Musk actually cracks the code for both of them. Instead, he's wowing us with talk of the most advanced humanoid robots in the world. He thinks that the long-term value of Optimus, his robot initiative, will exceed that of everything else Tesla has done. And it will...
Motherfucker. I can't believe what I'm hearing. Has the penny now just dropped? Jim Cramer has now just realized that Optimus is not a joke and will have astronomical financial implications for Tesla as it successfully scales? Has he just realized that they've actually built the foundational building block of artificial general intelligence and can in essence transplant the brain from the vehicles into the humanoid robot, which they've done? Has Cramer just woken up in real time to what we've been talking about for multiple years? Is he now just recognizing that myopic focus on Tesla's automotive business to the exclusion of everything else, the stuff that will ultimately dwarf Tesla's entire automotive business, make it look like a rounding error? What the... Dude, my brain's breaking here. I'm so confused. Why now? Why is... I just don't even. Back to Jim.
Worth trillions because we all will want a robot. You got to wonder how much of that is real. But even if a fraction of that humanoid robot story comes true, shareholders will make fortunes. Then Musk talking about autonomy and the joys of the fully self-driving vehicle that he thinks will soon be ubiquitous in every country, including ours. Sounds preposterous? Musk says, and I quote, "If you've got billions of miles that show that in the future unsupervised full self-driving is safer than human, what regulator could really stand in the way of that?" End quote. He argues it will be part of a customer-owned fleet, kind of like an Airbnb on wheels. deals. He's betting autonomous driving could be a $5 trillion business. And then there's Tesla's energy business, specifically the energy storage backlog. This quarter, energy storage deployments more than doubled, giving the division record results, small, but doing incredibly well. Plus, while Musk called out NVIDIA as a darn good manufacturer of high-end chips, he wants to go against NVIDIA, too, because he can't get enough of their best semis. I believe it, but not anytime soon. Now, the irony is, despite Musk's best efforts, today was a day when people said Tesla's just a car company and nothing more. It doesn't have anything near-term that can justify the stock's current valuation. He told a great story in the call, but nobody cared and gave him the downbeat environment for the mega caps, of which he has one of them. Perhaps you have to buy this weakness because of the future, which seems very bright. I actually think that makes sense, at least as a place to start buying. What matters is that you have to wait. You have to be patient. You have to be long-term oriented. Trades that are in short.
Yo, dude, I just can't handle this. I dead set, Jim's going to get fired for encouraging investors to have a long-term time horizon, to hold, to be patient. Does he not understand that the entire role of the finance media is to be an extension of the corrupt Wall Street fee machine to trick and manipulate consumers, viewers, into buying, trading, selling, locking in profits, locking in losses, to help the self-relating entity continue to generate fees from activity? In addition, the finance media are also a prehensile appendage of many, not all because they're not all, but many corrupt, dishonest, deceptive, manipulative hedge funds and short sellers who appear in the finance media simply to tell people, I heard a rumor that something really bad's happening, so I've gone short this particular stock that you should probably panic and sell out of so I can lock in a quick short-term profit. Dude is skating on thin ice here. What the hell's going on? Serious question. Why has Jim changed his tune all of a sudden? Why is he talking about the long term and suddenly acknowledging and recognizing things? I mean, there was nothing revolutionary on Tesla's call. The short story was, yeah, so we're still doing all the same shit. We said we were doing, everything's moving along on schedule. Nothing new to see here. And that in and of itself was extremely important. We did find some new details about multiple products being unveiled, but fundamentally, they're still pursuing autonomy full speed. They have new, more affordable vehicles on the way. They're still pursuing Optimus full speed. Like, no new product lines were unveiled, but suddenly Jim's talking about all of these things.
Short supply on Wall Street. As I see it, the key risk with Tesla was that Musk might leave over his pay package. Now that he's staying, I recognize that he's just better than everyone else when it comes to envisioning the future, perhaps with the sole exception of Jensen Huang from NVIDIA, who is also, by the way, a lot more fun to hang with. Still, Musk bankable, and the rotation out of the Magnificent Seven could give you a chance to put his genius to work for your portfolio, and it's probably right here worth taking.
So I believe that Jim Cramer is suggesting his audience buy some Tesla stock and, apparently, to be patient and hold for the long term. What the hell is going on? If history is anything to go by, with Jim Cramer's incredible record of making a prediction and the polar opposite happening, becoming a bull and a stock collapsing, becoming a bear and a stock surging. If his history is anything to go by, we are completely fucked. Now, I'm obviously trolling, but bro, where did this bullishness come from? What is going on? If I were donning a tinfoil hat, which I'm obviously not, but if I were, I might say something like, is it possible that Jim Cramer has taken a long position in Tesla stock and wants to broadcast from his pedestal of faux credibility, e.g., he's wearing a nice shirt and he's on the television, therefore I can trust him, that he's long Tesla, so many of the NPCs who watch CNBS and do what Jim does and take a long position in Tesla. Is it possible? Of course, that would not actually be happening because that wouldn't be too far off some low-key potential manipulation of a stock. But of course, I'm not wearing a tinfoil hat, so I definitely didn't even say that was a possibility. Anyway, I'm just telling you that if I were wearing a tinfoil hat, maybe that's something that I might say out loud. Purely hypothetical, of course, after all. Jim Cramer would never utilize the media as a means of disclosing information, either good or bad, in an attempt to financially benefit one way or another, because that would definitely be pushing it. Wait, my editor's just in my ear. What's that? Oh, okay. Apparently we're about to play a clip of the very same Jim Cramer doing his best Tony Montana impersonation. I don't think I understand what my editor means by that, and I guess we'll have to find out. Explaining how one would, in fact, engage in stock market manipulation by utilizing the very same tool, the media, for financial gain. Apparently, according to my editor, this clip occurred in an interview in the early days of the internet, at which time Tony Montana didn't realize that the internet would be forever and that a clip on a very small, tiny pocket of the interwebs would not only exist for the rest of time, but be discoverable. Looking forward to watching this clip.
Welcome to Wall Street Confidential. I'm Aaron Task, joined again by Jim Cramer. Jim, welcome.
Good to see you.
Thanks for being here. There's a lot of economic data out today, but I want to talk about something else first. Again, today we have the misdirection from the futures. The futures pointing to an up market, and as of right now, stocks are down again. Is this just because it's the holiday period that we're seeing this?
You know, a lot of times when I was short at my hedge fund and I was positioned short, meaning I needed it down, I would create a level of activity beforehand that could drive the futures. It doesn't take much money. Similarly, if I were long and I would want to make things a little bit rosy, I would go in and take a bunch of stocks and make sure that they're higher. And maybe commit $5 million in capital to do it, and I could affect it. What you're seeing now is it probably is bigger market now. Maybe you need $10 million in capital to knock this stuff down, but it's a fun game and it's a lucrative game, and you can move it up and then fade it. That's often creates a very negative feel. So let's say you take a longer term view intraday, and you say, listen, I'm going to boost the futures, and then when the real sellers come in, real market comes in, they're going to knock it down. That's going to create a negative view. That's a strategy very worth doing when you're valued on a day-to-day basis. And I would encourage anyone who's in the hedge fund game to do it because it's legal,
right?
And it is a very quick way to make money and very satisfying.
Okay.
By the way, no one else in the world would ever admit that, but I can care.
That's right, and you can say that here.
I can't. I'm not going to say it on TV.
Well, on a related note, there's so many more hedge funds today than when you were managing your hedge fund.
Right.
Do you think that does that exacerbate the moves, or does it make it tougher?
Well, you know, the hedge funds are positioned long-short, okay, not just long like mutual funds. So it's really vital these next 6 days because of your payday. You've really got to control the market. You can't let it lift. When you get a research in motion, it's really important to use a lot of your firepower to knock that down because it's the fulcrum of the market today. So let's say I were short. What I would do is I would hit a lot of guys with RIM. Now, you can't foment. That's a violation of
Ferment?
Yeah, you can't foment. You can't create yourself an impression that a stock's down. But you do it anyway because the SEC doesn't understand it. So that's the only sense that I would say this is illegal. But a hedge fund that's not up a lot really has to do a lot now to save itself. So this is different from what I was talking about at the beginning where I would be buying the Qs and stuff.
Right.
This is actually just blatantly illegal. But when you have 6 days and your company may be in doubt because you're down, I think it's really important to foment, if I were one of these guys, foment an impression that research in motion isn't any good because research in motion is the key today. So, you know, you would hit this guy and that guy, and when you would see an offering, when you see a guy who's bidding, you'd wipe out that guy very quickly. And what I used to do was called, if I wanted to go higher, I would take and bid. And if I wanted to go lower, I'd hit an offer. And I could get a stock like RIM for maybe, that might cost me 15, 20 million, Annie, to knock RIM down. But it would be fabulous because it would beleaguer all the moron longs who are also keying on research in motion. So we're seeing that. That's, you know, again, when your company's in a survival mode, it's really important to defeat research in motion and get the Pisanis of the world and the people talking about it as if there's something wrong with RIM. Then you would call the journal and you get the bozo reporter on research in motion and you would feed that there's a Palm's got a killer it's going to give away. These are all the things you must do on a day like today. And if you're not doing it, maybe you shouldn't be in the game.
Okay. Another stock that a lot of people are focused on right now seems to be Apple.
Yeah, Apple's very important to spread the rumor that that both Verizon and AT&T have decided they don't like the phone.
Right.
That's a very easy one to do because it's also you want to spread the rumor that it's not going to be ready for Macworld. And this is very easy because the people who write about Apple want that story. And you can claim that it's credible because you spoke to someone at Apple because Apple doesn't.
Right, they're not going to comment. They're not going to say.
So it's really an ideal short. And I would, again, if I were short Apple, I would be working very hard today to get that. And the way you would do that is you pick up the phone and you call 6 trading desks and you say, listen, I just got off the phone with my contact at Verizon. And he has already said, listen, we're a Lucky G house. We're a Samsung house. We're a Motorola house. There's no room for Apple. They want too much. We're not going to let them in. We're not going to let them do what they did to music. And, you know, I think that's a very effective way to keep a stock down.
Right.
I might also, by the way, because the stock at 84, 85, a little bit of capital, you go buy some January 80 puts that makes it look like there's going to be something going on. So maybe you give Morgan an order to buy 1,000 Jan 80 puts. Then you go position limit with you use a firm that doesn't know what the heck it's doing. Maybe you go to UBS for puts. And you just kind of create an image that there's going to be news next week, and that's going to frighten everybody.
Right.
Then they all go out and say large put buyer UBS. Then they call Pisani again. You have to use those guys and say, listen, I see a big buyer of puts, and I'm told that it's SAC. You would do that too. And these are all what's really going on under the market that you don't see.
Right, and nobody else talks about it.
Right, but what's important when you're in that hedge fund mode is to not do anything remotely truthful. Because the truth is so against your view that it's important to create a new truth, to develop a fiction. And the fiction is developed by almost anybody who's down like 2% to up 6% here. You can't take any chances. You can't have the market up any more than it is if you're up 6. Because starting Jan 2, you'll have all your money come out. So what would you do if you're in that situation and you feel like you're desperate? Is that you would do these actions.
So you're talking about the mechanics of the market.
Well, the mechanics are much more important than the fundamentals.
Oh, okay, well, but in terms of the fundamentals, you've been writing about how you think.
Who cares about the fundamentals? Research in Motion just blew out the quarter.
Right.
But look what people can do. I mean, that's a fabulous thing. The great thing about the market is it has nothing to do with the actual stocks.
Right.
Now, look, over maybe 2 weeks from now, the buyers will come to their senses and realize that everything that they heard was a lie. But then again, Fannie Mae lied about their earnings for $6 billion. So,
right, and Bristol Myers lied.
It's just fiction and fiction and fiction. And I think it's important for people to recognize that the way that the market really works is to have that nexus of hit the brokerage houses with a series of orders that can push it down, then leak it to the press, and then get it on CNBC. That's also very important. And then you have a kind of a vicious cycle down.
Right.
And it's a pretty good game. And it can be played. You pay for a % or two.
Right, and then do you get long before Macworld and the expectation that the iPhone is going to be good? Right, and then you go back, flip to the long side.
You certainly got to use the other side.
Interesting.
Yeah, and there's a case where I would say the January 80 puts can be justified because after I've knocked the stock down to 80, I can buy a lot of common. And then you play it right into Macworld where they'll probably introduce the phone and Verizon's going to take it.
Okay. Well, maybe the fundamentals don't matter, but let's talk about the Fed.
Remember, what Wall Street Confidential is not giving you the party line. Oh, here's the party line, by the way. I spoke to Apple. The phone. I hear the phones are good, and Verizon might take it. And as a matter of fact, the Research in Motion sellers, I don't think they know what they're talking about.
But you've been writing about the cell phone market. You think you don't want to be involved in that.
The problem with the cell phone market, frankly, is that these guys are all killing each other. Someone has to take a dive. Motorola and Nokia have to get in a room and just fix price. They've been reluctant to do that because of the various justice departments and because
it's illegal, right? Yeah.
Well, that hasn't stopped a lot of other companies.
This is true.
This seems to be a case where they seem to be directly worried about the authorities. It's almost as if they have a lawyer that matters, unlike, say, the Bristol Myers lawyers. And, what eventually happens is the shareholders demand that you get phony lawyers and you sit in the room. And it'll happen soon.
Real quick, the Fed, the numbers out today weaker than expected.
Oh, so what? The Fed has obviously got to cut. But, again, you call the various guys who cover the bonds and you say, ignore the bond action. What's really happened is the Fed is very frightened about, and then you gin up the number that they're really frightened about. The Fed is actually desperate to try to figure out, how quickly they have to cut without looking like dopes that they raised.
Right, because they've been talking about they're worried about inflation all this last few months.
You don't want to raise in May and then cut in January. You look like Mexico, for heaven's sake. I mean, this is like a distinguished group of people who went to really good schools.
Right, these are smart guys. Absolutely.
Yeah, they don't want to look like dopes.
But when we were talking earlier in the week, you said you think it would be some sort of crisis, possibly Ford being a trigger.
Well, Ford went and did all that, they pledged all this investment banking to all these guys. So now that they're very reluctant to say negative things, it makes it much tougher for the Ford story to play out. I mean, the amount of business that Ford has to do. Ford may be the big client of 2007. So if I were in the corporate finance room, I would say, listen to the research guy. I said, listen, I spoke with Mullally. I actually have the inside. The plan works. So then you're the research guy and you say, oh, man, what do I do? It's bonus time. I'm not going to be a total idiot. Spitzer's going to Albany. Let's get back in the game.
Right.
I think that's important.
Is it possible? Because a year ago at this time, a lot of people were saying GM's about to go bankrupt, and of course the stock's up 50-some-odd%.
Well,
could Ford be that stock?
They're GM. No, but GM. The difference between Ford and GM was that GM's balance sheet was never really. It turned out wasn't that bad. Ford's balance sheet's pathetic, and you know that because they were willing to screw over the common for the bonds.
Right.
That's kind of if it weren't Ford, if this were Qualcomm. We'd be saying Qualcomm is desperate, but no, it's Ford.
But it's Ford. It's an American icon.
Yeah, I drove a Ford. I owned a Ford once.
And this is our country. Well, this has been Jim Cramer.
Again, what I'm trying to go for in the Wall Street Confidential, and I'm not saying you're sending me. I have to talk about what it's like at my hedge fund, okay? And what other hedge funds do. Because the difference is that if this is an intraday show, and you need to know what I know is going on.
So that's obviously a fake AI generated clip. It's definitely not real. But even if it was real, I'm sure Jim's now a changed man and wouldn't suddenly have changed his tune so dramatically on Tesla out of the blue with no new information whatsoever. So either way, there's nothing to see here. Move along. Want more content? Early access? A bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 is awesome. I've been taking it daily now for more than 3 years. It's a great way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's packed full of vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, plus has prebiotics, probiotics, and adaptogens to improve gut health, regularity, and help your body handle stress. I'm always looking for an edge to help me feel and perform my best, which is why I haven't missed a day of AG1 for more than 3 years. And I haven't missed a daily video in more than 3 years. Must be a coincidence, right? Just try it and see how you feel. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs. But don't take my word for it. This is what viewers of the channel had to say after trying AG1. I feel like I have a lot more energy since I started on AG1. By the way, viewer, that makes 2 of us. On to the next. Just got my AG1 in the mail. Legit feeling the effects after day 3. This viewer's been taking AG1 for 8 months and says, what an investment. Another. 3 months ago, I started AG1 and have been enjoying the evenness of alertness and energy that lasts the day. I just started the wife on it too. Are you convinced yet? I mean, hey, it's worth trying, right? Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR or I can keep going. Plenty more to come. This viewer, after about a month on AG1, definitely a lack of fatigue in the afternoon. Pleasant side effect is that my coffee intake has imploded and is almost down to 0. One more? Yeah, why not? I honestly feel younger and will be continuing to use AG1. This stuff really is crazy good. I didn't think it would be, but this stuff is awesome. It really is what everyone is saying. One more? Don't mind if I do. I've just received my 3rd month supply. I've drank it every day. I have so much energy throughout most of the day. I'm productive, started a new business, started socializing, refurbished a boat. It's no coincidence. Thank you for your persistence, your integrity, and your insights. Now look, these are not my words. These are not my testimonials. This is what you guys and girls are saying. Maybe it's 100% placebo effect. But even if that's the case, I think it's money well spent. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs. If you're still skeptical, hey, I don't blame you. Everyone on the planet seems to be promoting AG1 now, but guess what? They weren't nearly 3 years ago when I had this to say privately to my Patreon audience before there was a relationship, when I was asked about what I was doing for my health, energy, and so on. Just sharing my genuine, honest thoughts about a product I'd recently discovered that was at the time called Athletic Greens, now AG1. If I could only recommend one supplement to take, Athletic Greens, and I'm not getting paid to say this, Athletic Greens is a fucking game changer. I cannot believe how effective this is. No longer having a lack of energy in the afternoons. It's fucking amazing. There's only one thing to recommend, seriously. Try Athletic Greens. You won't go back. So obviously, just like Elon Musk is a liar, a fraud, a con man, a scammer, a fake engineer, and Tesla's going bankrupt, you shouldn't trust that guy from about 3 years ago who, without any financial incentive, was promoting this product to his audience on Patreon when they were asking about health and what he's doing for supplements. Because obviously, there was some other reason he recommended that, obviously. Not sure what it was, but don't trust that guy. And all the testimonials, like my mental game has improved with AG1. I feel better than ever. I'm so impressed I've bought it for both my parents. I feel more focused and have better digestion. Incredible difference. No more afternoon fatigue. It's relieved gut issues. These are all just obviously fake testimonials from fake people. Right? Wrong. Just try it. Unless you hate yourself. If you hate yourself and you don't even want to risk possibly feeling better, this is not for you. But for everyone else, what's the worst that could happen? Try it for a month. See how you feel. It's a no-brainer. Just click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR. You'll get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 and K2 plus 5 travel packs. And you'll take the colossal risk that maybe you might have a similar experience to some of the people whose testimonials we've read in this video.